Hearthstone, the game everyone loves to hate. Each set is filled with RNG card effects that Reddit will, of course, complain about. RNG discourages competitive play, but there is a reason it is an integral part of the game. Some pro Hearthstone players have quit because of RNG, citing that the game requires little skill. I'm Steamed Muffins, and I'm going to tell you what RNG means for the future of Hearthstone. In case you were not already aware, Lifecoach quit the game over RNG-style effects. The story starts when he spent around 2 months trying to improve at the game. Lifecoach, along with training partner Super JJ, thought that by playing 100 hours of Hearthstone a week, they could get closer to the skill ceiling of Hearthstone and get an edge over other good players. In Magic the Gathering, this kind of bootcamp is very common, and many pros admit to playing an average of 3 to 4 hours a day, and playing up to 12 hours a day when preparing for a tournament such as the Pro Tour. While we are on the topic of Magic the Gathering, Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa, a famous pro Magic the Gathering player, states in his article written in 2012 that the best way to improve at Magic is to consistently play Magic against players who are good at the game. This is because Magic the Gathering is inherently a skill-based game, and the number of decisions that you make in one game is astronomical. Lifecoach said that at the end of 2 months of practicing for 100 hours a week, they went from close to 60.5% win rate against high legend players to a 62.5% win rate, an increase of 2%. Lifecoach's conclusion was that the game rewarded you simply for how much you played, and not your base skill, a quantity over quality. It's not about who plays the best, it's basically about who plays the most. Many argue for and against Lifecoach, and I wanted to talk to you why Hearthstone has not fundamentally changed the way it treats random card effects. The word random is a mainstay in Hearthstone. The basic set, which was designed with the intention of being simple, only includes 3 cards with random effects. The classic set, on the other hand, contains 18 cards with random effects, and that number only increases with each set that was released. The mechanics for randomness also become extreme, with cards such as Yogg Saron or his puzzle box, which could win or lose you the game on its own. Mechanics such as lackeys allow for more than one layer of randomness, when they allow you to discover a random spell or dragon. Random effects, on top of the randomness of card draws, can often result in a frustrating experience when playing against seemingly perfect RNG. This has caused many players to quit the game. There is a less noticeable effect when all the RNG flows in your favor and allows you to win games that you had no right winning. You might not blame RNG for your wins, but rather perceive the victory based on your skill, thus creating a system with very low lows and not very high highs, except in extreme cases. Watch any highlight clip of Hearthstone, and it is almost always the result of some RNG-based card. RNG creates exciting moments, where you discovered the exact card that you needed, or your Yogg Saron wins you the game with a fireball to your opponent's face. This specific brand of marketability is a major part in helping create content creators, and could have possibly brought new players into the game. These random effects are labeled as fun, and are integral to what makes Hearthstone special. It has to be acknowledged that making the game more fun by adding random abilities makes the game less competitive. There are less decision points as more value is put on random effects. Basic and complex principles such as tempo and card advantage are irrelevant due to certain card effects. Being able to play the game perfectly and still lose is part of playing a card game, but Hearthstone rubs salt on the wound by enabling random effects and lowering the skill ceiling. The Discover mechanic was an attempt to fix this by allowing players to make a choice, thus increasing the decision trees while still including random effects. The problem is that most decisions made with Discover cards are very obvious, and therefore did little to mitigate the problem. Hearthstone developers could work towards fixing the problem by reducing the number of random effects in playable cards. Cards that are competitively designed should have limited random effects on them. Clearly, the Hearthstone designers are not cutting back on random effects, even when these cards are going to be played at high levels. One must conclude that Hearthstone panders to the casual player. Ever since the game came out on mobile, the number of players that play casually grew. Think about the mobile consumer who only plays this game on the toilet and will buy packs just to have the cards to make his combos work. This is the player that Hearthstone is pandering to, not the aspiring competitive player who grinds for hours in a month. This is great for Hearthstone because those casual players who buy packs are keeping the game alive by keeping a cash flow. The issue is that this growth is only sustainable for the short term. Look at a game like Counter-Strike. Competitive players can keep a game alive well after its initial life cycle, but design choices by Blizzard is pushing competitive players away who are moving on to auto battlers or Magic the Gathering. New players from mobile devices will soon dwindle as more popular mobile games come out. Random effects look like they are here to stay in Hearthstone's card design. Obviously, the competitive side of the game suffers for the abundance of random effects, and the development team doesn't want to change that. Only time will tell if the game will finish its growth into a primarily casual collectible card game, or if it will slowly crash and burn due to the lack of streamers or pros willing to play the game. If this video was at least thought-provoking, feel free to like and subscribe so that I know what kind of content to make in the future. Let me know in the comments how wrong you think I am, and if you really want to tell me off, you can find me occasionally streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/steamedmuffins. Really? He's got to do the ice machine right now as I'm doing my outro?